All right, best hour of their day is here with Adam Feit of Precision Nutrition. Adam, give us your current titles over at the preeminent nutrition organization.
No problem, Jason. Appreciate you having me on here. So right now with Precision Nutrition, I am a curriculum developer for our content team and curriculum strategy, as well as the performance nutrition coordinator with our athlete coaching circle.
Sounds impressive.
Appreciate that.
How did you get started with Precision Nutrition?
Well, how much time we got? You want the short abridged version, or you want to see how the whole fanboy with Dr. John Berardi started too?
Oh, we recently had John Berardi on the podcast. I know he's on sabbatical. He took 1 hour of work over the next 4 months, and it was, a privilege for us to have that hour of work be, a podcast of best hour of their day. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, let's start there and then ramp it up. So our listeners have very short attention spans. Anything longer than 30 seconds, they don't pay attention.
That's like the athletes I coach at the university. So yeah, essentially how it all started was I found a lot of the articles and work that Dr. John Berardi had been doing, when he was running johnberardi.com and ScienceLink. I was an undergrad exercise science major in the early 2000s. Did an internship with the U.S. Olympic Training Center for strength conditioning, and essentially got a chance to work with the bobsled team there, and was like, hey, just came down from the seminar. This guy, Dr. John Berardi, Precision Nutrition, everybody's ranting and raving about that. And went to the website. At that time, it was a $100 buy-in fee for a 3-ring binder, and this was 2006, so almost 15 years ago. And that's just kind of how it all started. So I bought into the product, was a competitive collegiate athlete, ended up using the system to lose weight, kind of get in track with coaching, and then just followed John's work over the years. And eventually became a client with the PN coaching program, did their level 1 and level 2 certifications, and brought me on board. So I'm in my 5th year right now, working with them.
Okay, so 5 years with PN. You said you founded in 2006. So what went on in those 8-9 years before you got on staff there?
Yeah, actually a lot, quite a bit. And a lot of it was really geared in strength conditioning coaching. I had gotten an undergrad degree in there. I wanted to work at the Division I level. So after I'd found PN, I had a really nice segue into kind of adding to my toolkit for a strength conditioning coach at the college level. So did some more internships, worked at Arizona State, got a graduate assistant position at the Citadel Military College in South Carolina. Took that for a 2-year run at University of Louisville football, where I was able to, use strength and nutrition coaching together. Took that up to Eastern Michigan University for a year as their head coach. Went to the NFL for a quick year with the Carolina Panthers, again as an assistant and nutrition coordinator. And then met a couple online that wanted to open up their own performance facility. So I co-founded Reach Your Potential Training out in New Jersey. So I did that for a solid 5 years working with kids. And now finishing up my 3rd year in my Ph.D. in sport and exercise psychology.
Wow, quite the resume. Eastern Michigan. Did you know my buddy Matt Torres?
Who doesn't know Matt Torres?
Wait, you really know Matt?
I don't know Matt. I'm sorry. Tell me about Matt, Jason.
Well, no, he just owns a box, North Naples CrossFit, phenomenal box. There's a very high likelihood it was Central Michigan University, so that could explain why you don't know him. But it seemed about the right time frame though for you to know him. But good guy nonetheless. Yeah, he's been on the podcast. He owns a great box in Naples that I coached at when living there. But so let's talk now about precision nutrition. I've done the level 1. My wife has done the 1 and 2.
Awesome.
What is with the new push to get into the CrossFit space?
So that's a really great question. I'm glad you brought that up. And I think, for us, it comes down to how can we help as many people eat, move, and live better, right? And so, we've been very fortunate to work with, over 100,000 clients. We've been able to work with coaches like yourself and certifying, over 70,000 of them. And I think what has been unique in this space of health and fitness professionals is this idea of, where are these missing areas for maximal impact? And, for myself being a college and professional strength conditioning coach at one point, seeing what we can do with not just the movement of CrossFit, but in performance nutrition in general, right? And so I think it's important to really commend, the movement like CrossFit. I remember taking my USAW weightlifting certification when I was 19 in like early 2000s. And, it was a couple $100, right? Like, where are we going to do this? We had to drive a couple hours out in Vermont. And because of, this movement with CrossFit now more than ever, right? People are Olympic lifting. You're taking the sedentary individual and getting them off the ground and teaching them Olympic lifts, right? Like getting them healthier and creating lifelong habits. So, for us, I can't give an official stand on, exactly why, but to me as a coach and somebody that's dabbled with that type of training, it just makes sense of what other types of people, what areas of coaches and clients could use our help. And that's what we're here for.
So we're seeing a lot of people out there in the CrossFit world dive in. I mean, what do you think separates precision nutrition? I mean, you can go and take many courses, from a Ph.D. level, to just, getting a certificate out of the, back of a textbook. What separates PN?
What I take a lot of pride in, not just the people we work with, but also how we do it and how we educate other coaches. And for the biggest piece there, I would say it really comes down to the art of coaching nutrition. And I remember when I first got into strength conditioning and nutrition coaching, I had taken a weekend certificate program, paid, probably $500-600. And it was really a regurgitation of, the biochemistry and the macros and just periodizing everything. But there were no take-home points, right? How do you work with a client that doesn't want to change? How do you work with somebody in the context of their real life, right? Because as we know, right, you can give out macros, you can give out meal plans, but if you're not helping those individuals actually put it into the day-to-day operations of their life, it's just going to be another lifetime special, $3.99, buy now and whatnot, or another Facebook challenge. So to wrap all that up, I think what we do a really, really nice job of is, yes, we're going to review the science. We're going to, introduce some of these key ideas that maybe have been forgotten about, but we're going to give you tangible tools and skills and really teach you how to communicate with your clients, whether they're CrossFit athletes, whether they're general population, anybody that's looking to make a change in their nutritional area.
How do you recommend a CrossFit box owner address that? So, our primary audience are box owners and coaches. So they're listening to this, or maybe they listen to the Berardi interview, or just, we talk about nutrition all the time and they think, I want to implement this at my affiliate. What are some of the things they must do, and what are some things they should avoid?
Yeah, another great question. You are crushing the podcast host game. So
this is my first episode too. So, beginner's luck.
Would have never known. But another great idea here is to really clarify, I think, what your clients want. So the people that are coming to your box, the people, what is it that they're really after? Hardly ever these people are going to come in and saying, I want to PR this type of time, or I want to, clean and jerk this, or I want to snatch that. And that could be part of the process. But I think understanding and actually taking the time, setting the table, having a conversation with them of clarifying their goals, what their values are, how they identify themselves, and really what their priorities are. And then taking the information that they've given you and spinning that into a way of, here are some ideas to help you get there. And I know, just working with athletes over the years, right? Like, it's very easy. I was watching some of the videos, you're dropping into CrossFit boxes and giving some coaching cues. It's very easy for the most part to get people stronger, right? It's very easy for the most part to work on their technique and their skill development. It's very difficult to have them do the same thing with their nutrition, lifestyle, and coaching there. So I think when you have CrossFit owners that prioritize nutrition, they prioritize movement, they prioritize these areas of what we call deep health, I think it's a knockout of the park, because you're not just going in there and having clients crush themselves or take just pride in what they're doing on the platform or in the box itself, but they're bringing these skills into the kitchen, into their home with their families, at work, and they're really going to be able to see those steps take into play.
What is the biggest misconception out there when it comes to nutrition? I know, right? I'm hitting you hard. I would say that's a high fastball. Like, it's an easy, right? It's a simple question, but it's coming in hot. From my perspective.
Yeah, from my perspective, I'm going to have to go with everybody thinks, I would say everybody, because I don't like to think in absolutes, which will go into my next statement. Many people think of nutrition as all or nothing. Many people think they got to be all in, all gas, no breaks, right? Like you're doing a specific diet. If it's carnivore, you are all in, you're doing all the meats, everything in, right? If it's plant-based, there is nothing animal product whatsoever. I see a lot of people make that mistake, whether that's coaches and clients. And I think transitioning from an all or nothing mindset to an always something, and that's a progress minded attitude, can really set a lot of people apart in a good manner.
Speaking of carnivore diet, it's the buzz these days. I'm a big fan of Mark Bell. He's committed to coming on the podcast. Getting
awesome.
getting him locked down is a bit of a pain. But I mean, you can't deny the progress he's making. If you go on Mark Bell's YouTube every day, he puts a new video up, and it's pretty impressive. But what's your opinion on it?
I think it's, when we look at any types of diets or ways of eating here, we've got to really look at it all in context, right? How does a diet like that fit in the context of his daily life? So does he measure success with cognitive performance? Does he measure success with a slimmer waistline? Are his personal best in the gym, right, still at the level that he wants? And so I'm always up for clients and coaches to try things and to just be really rigorous with what it means to them, how they evaluate success, and can they keep doing that? I think we've all experimented with types of diets. I remember doing paleo many, many years ago, like right when my son was born, and saw a lot of great results. But for me, it wasn't sustainable within the context of my life. So, I can't give a true position statement on that. I think with anything, you can find benefits, you can find drawbacks, but really it comes down to the client and having them use what we call outcome-based decision-making. Are they making progress? Are they happy? Can they be sustainable? And where does this fit on a day-to-day operation of what they're looking for?
So if someone wants to do something and you suggest that, they should know how they measure success, what if they don't know? How do you help someone determine what that means?
That another great one. I think it's
look, every question is going to be good going forward. You don't have to keep saying that. All right. Just assume if I'm talking, it's really intelligent.
I can hear that. Absolutely. We'll leave that out for more room for answers later. So it's a great opportunity for you to clarify that with them. A technique we use is what we call like our destination postcard. So you have somebody that really doesn't know what that success looks like. It's opening up this conversation, right? In a perfect world, where are you at the end of this journey? Where are you at the end of this challenge, whether it's 6 weeks, it's 12 weeks, it's 20 weeks, maybe it's next year, and have them work backwards, right? In coaching, we call that periodization. You have an outcome. How do I prepare them to get there? Where are we going to take our unload weeks? How are we going to change that? So I want to spend some time helping them work through that. And then we sit there and work on how to evaluate that accordingly. Because for them, it might be, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. Awesome. And that might dig into other areas of their life where they might see progress as well, or I'd like to see progress, right? Would losing 20 pounds help their confidence? It might. Would losing 20 pounds help their relationship with their kids? It might. So I think going to the outcome, to the destination, and then working backwards, I think is a nice strategy that any coach can use.
So you've probably worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of nutrition clients at this point. What have you found to be the most common measure of success for those people?
I would say in the market that we're in, especially with how it's saturated in the industry in terms of what people are looking for, they're going to look for some sort of weight loss. So if they automatically look for weight loss, they think it's a success. However, we know as coaches, a lot can happen with that weight loss, right? If they're on a, let's say, low carbohydrate diet, a lot of that weight loss could be water at the beginning, right? So using that weight loss, but also translating that into other areas, that's going to be a common success factor. But, I've worked with clients too, and our team has worked with clients that it's not just weight loss. Maybe it's inches around their waist. Maybe it's how their clothes fit. And I think really that answer is dependent on the type of client you have and the life stage that they're in.
I mean, I've worked with hundreds of clients, and the frustration I feel and the frustration I hear when the scale isn't moving, is incredible. And so many times, like you said, hey, the scale's not moving. It's like, well, send me a picture. You clearly look better, or you're clearly stronger. What have you found to be some best practices in that scenario? You know, not to throw women under the bus. It's typically women, right? They're really attached to that number on the scale. How do you handle that? You know, A, showing them, look, you are in fact making progress, but B, understanding that's something so deep in them that it might not just be something that common sense prevails.
Yeah. A big practice we talk about is this idea of noticing and naming, right? Noticing these thoughts and these feelings that are coming up, and essentially naming them and the impact that it has on their mindset, on the quality of life. And so when we address that, we try to do a very good job of, you know, calling these out, calling these monsters out, calling this negative self-talk out. And that's some of the work I'm doing with kids at the university is, you know, this was said, but is it like, this is real, but is it true? And so we use that concept to really distinguish what is success and what is not. And for us, it's about breaking that down to the smallest, most measurable unit of forward progress. And so, yeah, it may not, let's say, go back to your example, it may not be a full pound of weight loss, but we also take this time to say, okay, we know it's not a linear thing, right? They're not going to go ahead and lose weight every single time they're on the scale. So we use that to gather data, right? So if we have a more advanced client, maybe we're okay with weighing in every day or showing some trends and collecting that. And also, you know, being very upfront with the process of how things will change, right? How stress does affect weight retention, how sleep affects that, how your performance is affected by that. So to wrap all that up, I think it's important to call that out and acknowledge that, but also not get frustrated with them, because I think it's a natural part of that process for them. They measure their success with one variable. We don't reach success in their eyes. Therefore, why should I keep trying?
So speaking of success, you personally, how do you currently measure your success?
As an individual, as if I'm doing my own, like I'm being coached, or with the clients I work with?
You personally, Adam Feit, how does he measure success?
Yeah, well, so an easy one for me, let's call it weight loss, right? So I've been very fortunate, you know, when I'm on point, like I've been single digit body fat, I've felt great, and performance in the gym is great. And life happens, you have kids, you start a PhD, you work a full-time job and whatnot. To reevaluate success, I think is a natural part of that. So currently at this time, you know, I might be on a improvement of health. One of those factors might be weight loss. So I feel very good about weighing in every day. I use it as data. I look for trends, and then I want to look for success, you know, a rolling average, for instance, a little bit lower each week. Another part of my success, you know, I've got a bulge thoracic 7 disc from my years of strongman. So success is going through and making sure that when I leave the gym, that I've, you know, built this 2-car amazing garage gym I've been saving up for years, that I'm not in pain. And so that might be a performance variable, that might be a nutritional focus. And then, you know, other areas of life too. I'm a busy guy with kids, a wife that's doing her degree too. You know, what are my BAMs, what we call it PN, or bare ass minimums? And for that, it might be, hey, today was a successful day because I had 20 minutes uninterrupted with my daughter, 20 minutes uninterrupted with my son, and 20 minutes uninterrupted with my wife. We had quality time. So I really try and look at all the domains as possible for a successful day.
I like that BAM, but you need to throw in 20 minutes of alone time
You
as
definitely
well,
need
Adam.
that. Yeah, I have that on the commute. So as you know, you got to maximize that when you can, right? But yeah, definitely a good call out.
So what you said there, though, is really interesting, because I think one of the most common things a box owner or just any nutrition coach is going to hear is kind of what you alluded to. Getting my PhD, I got 2 kids, I'm married, I'm working hard, I don't have the time to eat right. But as you know, it does not take any more time to eat right than it does to eat wrong. How do we handle that? Talk to me about that as just an open topic.
Yeah. What I always like to go back to is when you say yes, when your client says yes to something, you've got to also ask them what they're also saying no to, right? And this goes into the point of essentially, well, you're saying yes to a poorer food choice, but what are you saying no to? And maybe that's, you're saying no to waking up the next morning feeling good about yourself. You're saying no to your recovery for your workout, right? And so I take time to do that. And then I use the time to explore how this action, how this behavior, how this skill will pay off, whether that's in the immediate short term, right? Short-term gratification, or it's the long term. And what I've really noticed with nutrition coaching over the years is this hasn't really changed much, but clients want results and they wanted it yesterday. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, they wanted 3 weeks ago.
Exactly, right? And coaches want to, for the most part, especially when you're starting out, you want to figure out the magic plan, the macros that fit, the the guide that's going to solve everything. We want to give it to them and we want to say, go to work. Well, let me know if you have any questions, but it should be self-explanatory. And that's not really the case. So as I've gotten older and as I've switched, areas of my focus and working with PN, I think we've come to the appreciation that it's going to take time. These log jams and obstacles are going to come up, and really celebrating that process, because as we know, right, like immediate rapid weight loss is probably not good for you in the long run. It's going to set off a host of maybe binging and disordered eating behaviors. And we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way, but we're also doing it with the ultimate long-term plan of establishing healthy skills in the long run, so that we don't have to come back to this. So, for me, it's taking time, and it's acknowledging that and celebrating that, just like you would do with any type of performance variable.
So, something else you also kind of touched on briefly was this idea of like sleep, stress, nutrition, and fitness. And I kind of refer to those 4 things as the 4 pillars, right? Sleep, stress, fitness, and nutrition. I think those together are the foundation of just being healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Which to you is the most important pillar, and which to you is the least important pillar?
So to recap, we've got sleep, stress, nutrition, and fitness.
Yeah. And if you have another pillar that I've not thought of, feel free to add it there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a solid foundation right there. I'm going to go with stress.
Which one as
the most important? Because what I have seen, and I'm taking a class in stress management right now, is stress can manifest itself in multiple areas of your life. And I think what we tend to forget is a form of stress cognitively is going to affect us just as much as a physical stress, and everything is intertwined. And stress may not cause disease, but it can certainly impact that. And everything comes back down to stress management. Us as coaches, we can be very good stress managers. Professors can do the same thing. Clients can do the same thing. Is how do we manage that? How do we move with that? So I would say stress is the number one thing to consider. In terms of fitness, nutrition, and sleep, I might actually go with fitness.
That's what, you know what? We're on the same page.
We feel good about that?
I feel like, if something has to give, it's your training. Like, it doesn't matter how hard you train if you're not sleeping, if you're not eating right, if you're high stress. Yeah, I mean, I agree. But go on, tell me why you think that.
Well, and I appreciate you clarifying that. I think because when we think of fitness, we have to, or how do clients define that, right? If you're used to training every day for 60 minutes a day, and you've got a great deal at your local CrossFit, facility, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, my fitness sucks because you went from every day to nothing per day. There's a lot of varying levels in between, right? So, we talk about at PN, like where are we on this dial from like 1 to 10? So if you're usually crushing it and it's a 10, simply dialing it back down to an 8 probably might not make a big difference. And then there are going to be some periods of your day where, or your life or the season you're in, it might be a 2, it might be a 4. So I think it's important there to consider that you can adjust your fitness, but as we say at PN, like you hit the pause button, or you don't hit the pause button. You can always be moving. You can always be doing something. Simply reframing your fitness goal for the time being is going to make a world of difference.
So you think the most important is stress. Well, how do you manage stress, and how do you recommend clients manage stress?
If I had figured that out, you and I would be on a book tour right now next to motivational speakers filling up the garden. I think when I look at it, obviously being aware is the first piece for me, right? So before we can act, we have to be aware of what's happening. And, with my degree, hopefully finishing up this year in terms of psychology, everything comes down to our thoughts, which drive our feelings, which drive our behaviors, right? So for stress management, it comes down to, hey, I'm going to examine the space between my ears, right? That could be 4 to 6 inches for most people, right? But what's happening in that headspace, because that's going to drive how you feel about things. So the first step for me is I do a mental check-in, right? We at PN, we might call these body scans where, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking that? Where did that come from? Have you ever found yourself in a conversation maybe with your spouse where you just say something and they're like, well, where did that come from? And you're like, well, let me tell you about that, right? Because I thought about this and it led me to that and so forth. So I always like that technique, especially, with the clients I work with. And from there, start to put together these action plans. Like, what can we do with that? So for instance, I work with a lot of clients that they're focusing on all the uncontrollables, right? We talk about in sports psychology, control the controllables, right? If you can't change it, don't worry about thinking about it. It's not going to change. Well, there's some truth to that, but you can influence some of things that could happen. So coming down with those ideas and asking those types of questions, that can get you to act accordingly. So I become aware of it. I start to put together an action plan. And for me, that might be simply, I'm not listening to death metal or gangster rap in the weight room when I train, because that's all I hear when I'm in the gym. So that could be a lower sense of music choice. That could be unplugging. I don't think we do enough of that as a society. I think we're always tethered and attached to electronics. And I know if I go a family hike with my kids and my wife and we're out there, reconnecting and just conversing with each other instead of a ding or notification, that helps me too. Exercise helps me manage stress. And I mean, for the most part, eating well, because I know when I'm eating and the value it provides me, I'm going to feel better in the hours and days to come.
Tupac or Biggie?
I'm going to have to go with Biggie.
All right, just saying, you bring up, rap, I just got to check, check where your
Tragic
head's...
when those guys passed. I was a young boy and I was like, wow, it's a sad day in music.
It was a sad day. So, we're talking a lot about, stress and the mental component of nutrition. How much of nutrition really boils down to that mental?
I'd say a very large part of that, because physiology for the most part hasn't changed, right? But the distractions have, the food marketing has, the science of preservatives and advertising have, the containers that we cook our food in, the containers that we store our food in, food delivery service, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these things are changing from a system standpoint, from a decision-making framework. I think that's the hardest part. I remember when I first started coaching and I didn't have a lot of money. I was coaching at Arizona State and I literally got by. I lost, let's say I got done playing. I probably lost close to 60 pounds just learning about nutrition. And all I had was iceberg lettuce. I had some old muscle milk for protein. I had Miracle Whip and cans of tuna and chicken. Maybe some mixed nuts in there once in a while, but it worked, right? One of the reasons why it worked, because I didn't know any better. That's all I did. And I stayed consistent with the process. So I think from the mental capacity, to go back to your point, is a very large part of that, which in fact, influences some of the physical pieces like food preparation strategies, right? Planning your day, time management, et cetera.
So I agree. So much of this is mental. And for so many people, it's 20, 30, 40 plus years of routine and habits. And like you said, whether it's commercials or parents' influence, impacting your brain, impacting how you eat. How long does it take to create that new routine and to rewire your brain?
So if you ask most people, all right, or the media and maybe some of the things that you and I see on Instagram, what number, I'm going to throw this back on you, what number do you commonly see or hear about? How
21.
many days? 21, right? Curious, because I just actually recently learned about it through James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. But
great book, yeah.
Great, right? And so the idea of 21 days just came from essentially a plastic surgeon back in the 50s and 60s, and it had nothing to do with habit development. It just had to do with the time period it took for somebody to get used to something being there or not being there. And I believe his name was Maxwell Maltz, and James does a really good job talking about that. But there's been research on it that it's going to be variable, right? I think there's research done in the UK by Dr. Lally in the mid 2010, 12 area, that the level of behavior is obviously going to require longer, right? And so here, I'll use an example from my personal life. I wear contacts. Very thankful for that, or else it would be a very tragic for most people that have to see like my Coke bottle rims. And they're dailies, and I have to throw them out. And sometimes most of the time I forget to take them out before I go to bed. And then when I'm in bed, I'm like, oh, I got to take them out again. So I take them out of my eye. I kind of give it a little pinch, and then I throw it on the ground. Well, I get this new brand of contacts, and all of a sudden those aren't disintegrating anymore. So now I walk up and I'm stepping on old plastic, right? And I'm like, what's going on here? And I'm not going to lie, it took me 10 plus years to figure out, well, if I just put like a jar or a trash barrel next to this, that's going to solve that. So that's an easy thing. But because of that, I was able to stack another habit on that by flossing. So then I move my floss sticks next to my contact box. So now I take my contacts out, I grab the floss stick, and then boom, I'm taking care of my hygiene there. Took me many years to figure out, but now it's so automatic and routine, it's no problem. So it's going to change. And I think as coaches, we have to remember that if we can start with the smallest change possible, build their confidence, grow the competence that they can use to move forward, you're just going to stack it on one win on top of another win, et cetera. And I would use the same thing with coaching, right? Like we sign up clients, we want them to get through the whole 60-minute session. That's not going to fly. But if we can get them through the warm-up, if we can get them through the skills session, through the Olympic lifting, then maybe through the metabolic work at the end, we're going to be in great shape. So long way of saying, Jason, it depends, man. It depends on how hard it is, where the reality is, the gap where they are right now, how much support they have. And I think another piece we forget is how important it is to them.
Yeah, I think, a lot of what you just said is true, but as coaches, typically if you're coaching fitness, if you're coaching some sort of movement, you're very passionate. It means a lot to you. It's an important aspect of your life. And we kind of impose that belief on other people when maybe they really don't care. They're just here because they want to drop 10 pounds or because their significant other is forcing them to be there. So understanding that. And two other things you said that I think we shouldn't overlook is that idea of habit stacking that James Clear speaks about, and those kind of that like a minimum effective dose or those small wins. Because I think that's probably one of the other biggest mistakes nutrition coaches make is like, hey, I'm Adam and I want to lose some weight. Great. Here's exactly what you should eat. Here's how often you should eat. This is how big the meals are. By the way, track it. By the way, drink a gallon of water. By the way, all this stuff. And it's like, whoa, too much. Hey, okay, have a glass of water tomorrow. Did you do that? Cool. Let's do that again tomorrow. And then let's start adding on to it. Start slowly, start small.
Yeah. And I think it's a great point to bring back into the circulation of the conversation, because we're streamlining it to the smallest effective dose, like you said. But also, I think an important consideration here is, as coaches, if we give them all the things that we think they should do, they're going to bring out what we call like their inner toddler, right? They're going to fight back. They're going to tantrum because, this is a basic psychological need, is having autonomy. And if we remove the autonomy for them to make the decision, I can almost assure you that most of the time it's not going to go well. But some people that will go well, right? Some people do well. Athletes, for instance, a lot of the athletes I work with, coach tell me exactly what I need to do, when I need to do it, how to get it done, and we're going to crush this, because that's what they're used to, right? They're used to going to practice, going to lift, and being told exactly how much to lift, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, especially our clients, they say they want all of that, but deep down, they want to have some discussion, right? They want to have some choices. And so an easy tactic we do is, we kind of set the table. Hey, I have a couple ideas, some habits, some skills I think we can work on. Insert common things here, right? Eat less processed carbohydrates, drink more water, get up and walk 5 minutes, or 10, Smelly's like 10-minute walk, right? 10-minute walks after meals. What do you think you feel good about trying right now? And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being there's no way in hell I can do that, and 10 being like, absolutely, I will crush this in my sleep. Where do you fall on that? And I think as coaches, if we break it down to that minimal effective skill or behavior, grow their confidence, we're going to be in great shape, slowing that down accordingly for most clients.
I love it. I think that's probably one of the best things we've just said is, slow it down, give them those wins, find out what they really want out of this, and go from there. What's your stance on cheat days?
Well,
I
I
know.
think we've, yeah.
Another
No,
good
this,
question.
yeah,
Another good question.
I think we've seen the memes online, right? Like what's wrong with your diet? And then you see like everything's perfect Monday through Friday. And then there's, you know, that Saturday photo where it's all inclusive. I think for some people in some situations, like The Rock, for instance, there's been a lot of discussion on that. I think that the term they use is like planned hedonic food intake or something like that, where it's part of a structured plan. It's going to affect hormone levels, but they've got great support. It has its value, right? We talk about that with our elite level athletes. You know, there's a purpose of a refeeding protocol. For the most part, that's not going to get you results for the people that are working on basic habits like you're working on is your hydration right now. So
I like that. I've been carrying a gallon around for about 20
that's
years.
it, man. Right. So, hey, at the end of the week, right, we know that we can't defy physics. There's got to be a calorie deficit. How we do that is up to the client and to the coach. For the most part, right, those things, it's very hard to have a cheat meal and not have it turn into a cheat day, right? Friday night with your friends turns into, yeah, we'll crush a Saturday morning, 8 a.m., then it turns into brunch, then it turns into the game on Saturday, and then Sunday morning, well, I'll just start again on Monday because I've said that 52 times already this year. So,
Yeah, as someone that's kind of run the gamut and done cheat days back in the day and currently doing one now again, you know, you realize, you being diligent during the week is vital. You can't have a cheat day if during the week it gets very gray and you're
right.
basically opening it up. And the second thing I've learned is I have one cheat meal, including dessert, and it's out of the house. So you don't wake up on Sunday with the leftover pizza or cookies or, you know, what have you. Because it's the hard part isn't the cheat day, it's getting right back on to the strict plan.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, say you were going to have a cheat day tomorrow. Let's call it a cheat meal. What would you have? What would be your go-to cheat meal?
It would be Mexican. I'd probably crush about 3 baskets of tortilla chips with salsa, a loaded burrito with everything in it, extra meat, and you know what? For good measure, just throw a margarita on there too.
No dessert.
No dessert. Yeah, I'm actually a guy that can, you know, my wife thinks it's crazy, but like her and the kids want to get ice cream all the time. And I'll actually, like, I'd prefer another loaf of bread or something like that. I'm drawn to more of the carby type stuff instead of the sweet type of stuff. How about you?
Mac and cheese.
Really?
Kraft. The good stuff.
Kraft. That's good stuff. Would you throw in some like adult food in there, like
No.
buffalo mac and cheese or lobster mac and cheese?
You know, I can throw a little lobster in there. I've had
Yeah.
that before, but I like very simple guy. But I'm a big fan. We moved to Boulder and there's a place called Crumble Cookies. It's a chain, but there's not a ton of them around yet. Every Saturday night, 3 of those bad boys, and they're about 800 calories each.
Wow. But you built it into your plan, right? You built it into your tracking.
So I'm super clean all week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, track my macros, but then what date night, you know, the wife and I, wherever she wants to go, I'll eat there, but then crumble cookies after.
Hey,
So,
as we say, go ahead.
well, I was going to, you know, I'm taking it off topic now again, but you've got 2 kids and clearly based on talking to you, your website, your kids are important to you. Your kids specifically. What are something you're doing better than your parents did to set them up for success with nutrition?
Giving them choices is huge. And to actually, you know what, I'm going to say that's a huge factor, right? But also making sure that I'm not forcing them to eat everything before they leave the table. Because I'm not one to, you know, causate and correlate, but I did a lot of finishing the plate and then I ended up playing offensive line in college, right? So it's important there that kids are remarkable with their hunger awareness and their hunger cues, right? So when my son's like, I'm not really hungry, it's amazing how accurate he is. He's a guy that can take a candy bar, right? We just had Valentine's Day, eats a half a Kit Kat, and he's like, I'm good. And then my daughter and I, on the other hand, are like, all right, 5 Kit Kats later. So
Yeah,
it could be a deadly turn. So I would say I'm very proud. Love mom, dad. Appreciate you. Don't know if you'll ever be listening to this, but I'll send it to you.
they are some of our biggest fans. Your parents.
They are, right?
The Feit family is our biggest fan.
Love it. I don't think I've ever done a podcast with a shout out to my folks. So thank you for that. But Yeah, just being okay with that, right? Like not being like, no, you're not leaving until you finish. Not leaving until you finish, and that's just bad. And just in giving them choices, right? So we might have a simple option, right? We might have 3 veggies cooked and prepped. We might have 1 to 2 carb options. We might have 1 to 2 protein options, and opportunities for these treats to be there. Having that and giving them autonomy to choose, I think, has been a really good addition to my parenting life.
So I just got back from Reno. I spent a couple of days with the founder of Ice Age Meals. His name's Paleo Nick. I don't know if you heard of him, but great meals if you want to buy some great, good quality paleo delivered to your house. And he had 2 kids around the same age. One dove into the steak and asparagus that we had for dinner. The other one, not having it. Do either of your kids have that?
Paleo Nick is also known as Adam Feit, if you believe that, because that's exactly what I have. My oldest son is very particular. I won't say picky, particular. My daughter will eat anything and everything. So it has caused some opportunities to learn and grow as parents and being okay with being okay. And I think actually one of the biggest things that helped was we had a really good pediatrician when we first had them, and we were living in New Jersey at the time. And, I'm worried as hell, right? Like I'm working for PN. I'm thinking, oh gosh, if anybody finds out how my son's eating, like I'm a fraud. Berardi's going to fire me. Like this is not good. And the pediatrician's like, if he's getting 1 solid meal in a day and you feel really good about it as a parent and it's covering most of your nutrients, like don't worry about it. Like they're going to figure it out. And so, it's been good. Yeah. Is he a little undersized? Yeah. But I'm 6'1" and my wife's 5 feet. So I can blame that. Right. So they're definitely very different eaters.
So there's no forcing of the steak.
We always offer opportunities to try. And, I forget what some of the new food research says, but you have to try things like 30 to 40 times to actually make a conscious decision if you like it or not. And so, my son might, hey, can we try a carrot? We might try something every week. But yep, no forcing. We know his go-to meals. We prepare for that, right? Like he loves, ground beef. There could be a lot worse things to fall back on, right? So, hey, are we working on his fruits and veggies? No question. But we know it works, and we're okay with offering the opportunity. But yeah, there's no forcing in that household.
That's actually the same thing I've told women that I've dated over the years. Like, you got to give me 30 to 40 tries before you make a decision here. Let me ask you a couple more questions before I let you go. What's one thing you used to believe about nutrition that you no longer believe?
Carbs are the enemy.
How did you come to that realization?
I actually did a carb cycle. I tried carb cycling out in, early 2009. Read about it. There were some guys on Elite FTS at the time writing about it. I can't remember their names right now. Shelby Starnes, I think, was writing about it at one point and just was like, there's no way I can eat like 600 grams of carbs and get lean. And I did. So I had read some of the books, I think like a lot of mainstream people did, like Gary Taubes and Bad Calories and Good Calories, and this just despicable notion that like one hormone could cause all this havoc. It's way bigger than that. So carbs are good. Carbs are your friend. If you're training, man, you're going to need them. So enjoy them while you can.
I agree with you full-heartedly, but how do you get that into people's heads? Because again, it's one of those things, if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, like I did, there's a period of time where fat was bad. Then carbs got this, terrible reputation. And I think A, people need to get over it, but B, they also just, they're just ignorant about it, and not, ignorant, not necessarily in a bad way. It's like carbs are bad, but then they're crushing carbs and not even realizing, what they're eating, granola bars and healthy yogurts and all of those things, or the people that are like, I can't have fruit because fruit is a carb. Mm-hmm. So all of those things, I get very frustrated about it. And I love, Coach Glassman, the CrossFit founder, something that he always says that works so well is just, how's that working for you?
Oh, because, you stole my thunder.
Because that's typically it. It's like, okay, cool. You came to me because you want to lose 50 pounds, but you have this belief in your head. What's it going to take for you to listen to me? Like, why are we here? Why are you paying me?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
We use
Yeah.
exactly the phrase that you talked about. We talked about outcome-based decision-making. Some of the most important words that we talk about in coaching is, how is that working for you? And show me. And I think an important consideration here as a coach is to really have them critically evaluate and not being a jerk about it, right? Hey, so Jake, how's that working for you, right? Like it can get misconstrued in multiple different ways. But explore what they're doing and then open it up for discussion of, well, what's working, what's not working, and then essentially like, well, how is this insert type of style of, eating working for you? And when you actually take the time to ask them a simple question like that, they're going to come up with, well, it's not, obviously, that's why I hired you, or something like that, right? So we take that in consideration. And the other piece of that is, as I said earlier, about like showing me, right? I have athletes all the time, clients that are just like, oh, that's too easy, coach. All right, show me. Like, show me that eating a vegetable or a fruit or both in every meal is too easy. Prove it, just show it to me. So what also helps with that context, especially with the carb notion, is if they are so on one end of the spectrum, fighting and pushing and pulling them to the completely other side, right? Let's say they're no carbs to all carbs, we're always going to lose that battle. And moving along the spectrum. So a person might be like, I don't eat any carbs, and they're smashing salads. They are smashing veggies all day, every day. Well, there's carbs in those, right? It's like 5 grams, per cup of, vegetables for the most part. So calculating all that out, showing them the data, and then moving towards more sources that don't seem like carbs, right? Like fruits or whole grains and all these aspects, because they just associate it with the good stuff, we call it, right? The sweets, the sugars, the candies, the pastas, the English muffins, and the little nice cinnamon toasts with the swirl. You know what I'm talking about, Jason, right?
Of course, I know what you're talking about, yes.
Going from one end to the other, it's a losing battle. Meet your clients where they're at, help them understand what they're doing, how it's helping them, how it's not helping them, and clarifying where they want to go, and being okay to experimentation. And if not, ding, 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 you got to find another way. You got to find a way to get them as close to where they want to go with the restrictions that they might be placing on you. That's no different than me working at high level athletics, and coaches are like, well, we're not changing lift. We're not changing practice time. We're not changing. I was at the Panthers, man. We had Bojangles every Wednesday. Bojangles is like Southern KFC, Chick-fil-A. Could not change that. Had to do the best I could with it.
It's delicious.
Yeah, it's got its place. Mac and cheese was on point, I'll tell you that much.
Did you ever watch the TV show The League?
The League? No.
You remind me very much of one of the actors in it.
Is that a good thing?
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's mostly your voice. It's your voice, but
okay.
You look a little bit like him as well.
If you can send me an audio, I get JJ Watt sometimes.
I could see.
It's the lighting. I know you don't see it. That's fine.
Okay, here's a tough question for you. Are the PN people are trying to get into the CrossFit space, right? In a good way, not like they're invading, but they're showing, hey, this is a good way to go. This is how we can help educate your coaches, educate your members. Are the PN employees, the people like you, the people that you work with, actually doing CrossFit?
We do have quite a bit, actually. Our PN team is growing. I actually can't give you the official total right now. I know when I joined, we had probably about 60 people worldwide. I think we're over 100 right now. We do have quite a bit of people that are going. And actually, every time that we have our team gathering or like annual meetings, we almost always have a get together. Actually, when we were down in Miami last year or 2 years ago, I called up and set up some team workouts at the Miami CrossFit. So yeah, we got some CrossFitters, man. We got some people that, love throwing some heavy weight around. We got some people that love going for the community and just getting better. So it is part of a piece of the PN culture.
Very cool. Very cool to hear that. All right. Last couple of things we're going to do. I'm going to shout some words at you. You're going to tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Love this game.
You ready?
No, but we'll figure it out. Go.
All right, let's go. Nothing too crazy. Keto.
Fat.
Paleo.
Meat.
Zone.
Mixed. I actually thought of Jennifer Aniston first. I'll say that.
All right, there you go. Donuts.
Don't eat enough of them.
You don't eat enough of them.
No, I don't eat any, really.
Where are you right now? Where's your house?
I am in Western Massachusetts, about 90 minutes west of Boston.
What town?
Wilbraham, right outside of Springfield.
Is there a good donut shop there?
Haven't looked. I should, though. That's a good challenge. I'll get back to you.
Are you close to Amherst?
Yes, I am. About 40 minutes south.
My favorite pizza spot. I can't remember the name.
You always remember your favorites, Jason.
Oh, it's so good. They do one slice at a time. They're huge, and you can throw toppings
Oh,
on it.
I've been there. Yeah. It's right by UMass. I've been there. My cousin took me there. Yep.
Yeah.
I'll find out the name for you, my man.
Please do. Macros.
Useful, but not for all.
MyFitnessPal.
Great tool. Check the data. Not always accurate.
Kale.
Very popular on the West Coast.
All right. Well, last two. We're going to go with this one first. Strongman.
Love it. Strongest man in 3 states when I competed.
Were you really? What
Yeah.
the smallest states like Delaware, Rhode Island?
Settle down. Delaware was one. Okay. I was actually Chicago's strongest man in 2009, Kentucky strongest man 2000. Actually, Chicago 2008, Kentucky 2009, and Delaware 2012.
All right. Pretty sure Chicago's not a state, but we can overlook
Part
that.
of Illinois. I took second in Illinois. I didn't want to talk about it, so thanks.
Last question. CrossFit.
I think it has done so much for everyone in the entire world in health and fitness, and we don't give it enough credit. I'll be honest. I'm just going to be honest with you.
No, I can appreciate hearing that. Actually, going back to Mark Bell, he was at a recent I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, one of his daily vlogs, he was at HQ, and he was just saying how much it has impacted every aspect, even strongman, which you're clearly a fan of. When I had my boxes, we had a strongman program, and none of those people would have been introduced, myself included, had it's a great gateway fitness program, if you will. And some stick with it, just like, hey, you might stick with pot, you never find the other drugs, but some go off the rails and are shooting heroin like strongman.
Are they shooting heroin these days?
I don't know if they are, but
We've
I'd
come
imagine.
A long way. Yeah, but it's such a great point, Jason, because when we look at like the types of people, right? Like I got married pretty young. I got married when I was like 26. The average weight of my like wedding party, my groomsmen party, like was like 287, right? Like we were some big dudes. And I saw one of them like a year or two later, and I was like, wow. He's like, yeah, I do CrossFit, lost 30 pounds. And I'm like, dude, good for you. Like you're a corrections officer, like you're limited on time. You found something that you love. He's like, I just miss the competitive nature. I want to get back out on the field. So whether it's moms, dads, aunts, uncles, girlfriends, ex-girlfriends, what have you, like if we really take a lens and look back on how much CrossFit has done for health and fitness and for the general population, more credit's needed. So appreciate everybody that's been involved there.
All right, before I let you take the floor and give your shout outs to PN and yourself so people can find you out there, one last question. About a year ago, you were on the OPEX podcast. Today, you're on the Best Hour podcast. Which one was better?
I will say I understand the host a little bit better on this one. This was awesome.
You didn't have OPT wasn't interviewing you, was he?
No, shoot. Gosh, forget his name right now. He's going to kill me.
Forgettable. Don't even worry about it. But that's the point.
He was from Ireland. His accent is super thick. Yeah. I will say this. This was a fun time. You know what? I know it was a good time because we got on. You're like, all right, dude, like 20, 30 minutes. And I'm like, here we are, 57 minutes in. Couldn't get enough of me, right? So
for the record, I always say that just in case it's boring. But then I hope that it'll be, like 45 to an hour.
I like what you did there. That was a good reframe right there, my man. I appreciate that.
And that's what happens.
Robbie Bork. Robbie Bork. That's him, Robbie. Love you, Robbie.
Robbie O'Malley from Ireland. So, you come on Best Hour, you get the hosts. You get me or you get Fern. You go on the OPT podcast, you don't get OPT. You don't get James Fitzgerald. You get Robbie from Ireland. Not that he's a bad guy. I'm just saying, you come on our show, you get the best. We had John Berardi on. They said, who do you want from Precision Nutrition? I said, well, give me John. Give me Dr. John. And they said, I don't think he'll do it. The next day, there he was on my Zoom call.
So I wasn't John's replacement.
No, you are in addition to John.
That is outstanding.
A welcomed addition. A welcomed addition. But, thanks for coming on. Please, before you get off, where can people find you? Maybe, one or two people liked you after listening to this episode out of the dozens that listen to this. So maybe one or two, like, I need to find out more about this guy. But then also, where can they find out more about Precision Nutrition, how to sign up for their PN1 and all that good stuff?
Yeah. Well, hey, I appreciate you, your mission, your podcast. And if you're one of the 12 people still listening by now, I am pretty active on social. So I'm on Instagram, AE Feit, F-E-I-T, Twitter, Adam_Feit, and Facebook, probably the best medium because I'm in my mid-30s and Facebook is still cool for us. So you can reach me there. But check us out at Precision Nutrition. Again, we are the largest nutrition coaching certification and software company in the world, and we love what we do. We want to help you become better versions of yourselves. If you're still listening, check out our website. So there's a nice offer for you to check out one of our recent tools that's completely free. So it's precisionnutrition.com/best hour, because you and I both know this was the best hour of your day. And learn more about us, what we do, why we do it, and most importantly, how we can help you help others in this awesome world of health and fitness. So appreciate all of you.
Yeah, and for the record, like I said, I've done it. My wife's done her 1 and 2. My partner Fern, he's starting the level 1 because we're going to take it again. We got access to a second time, and not that everything's changed in the nutrition world, but you guys are always updating. We got new books. It's no longer that one huge textbook. It's like 3 books and John Berardi's Game Changer book, Change Maker thrown in there. So it's really a great company, and we're proud to be partnered with you guys and to help people, just help other people. That's what it's all about. You guys, you do it well and you do it for the right reasons, which is what best hour of their day is all about. So thank you very much, Adam. It's really been fun chatting with you.
Fun to talk with you as well, Jason. Hopefully we can do it again.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Come on, who doesn't have Spotify at this point? And if you were unaware, Spotify now is offering podcasts. That's right. On Spotify, you can listen to all your favorite artists, but also podcasts in one place for free. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now, Best Hour of Their Day. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can even download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, something I always do before I hop on a plane. And you can even easily share what you're listening to with your friends on Instagram and other social media platforms. Here's the deal. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app, search for Best Hour of Their Day on Spotify, or browse some other podcasts if you want. You can find them in your library tab. And also make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Best Hour of Their Day. Thanks again for listening to Best Hour of Their Day, and thanks again to our special guest. We appreciate all you guys do for us with Best Hour of Their Day when it comes to sharing our posts on Instagram, when it comes to subscribing to us on YouTube, when it comes to the constant feedback. We are grateful and we appreciate it. We are trying to build a community based on coaching development and becoming the best version of yourself. And it goes without saying that we couldn't do without all of you. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Season 1 of Dropping In is out. We are getting tremendous feedback and we'd love for you to check it out. leave us a comment on there. Head over to our Instagram, give us a follow, like our pictures. Feel free to share anything that resonates with you. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or feedback for us, please don't hesitate. Email us, besthouroftheirday@gmail.com. Thanks again. Until the next episode, we hope you've had the best hour of your day.